It's a strange thing to tell people to rejoice in the middle of a famine. That's what the prophet Joel is doing. The fields are stripped bare, the grain is gone, the wine is dried up, the oil jars are empty, the locusts have eaten everything. 4 kinds of them, he says. Waves upon waves of destruction. And yet Joel stands up and says, O children of Zion, be glad and rejoice in the Lord your God. How? How can you rejoice when your world has been devoured, when you can see the bones of what used to be fruitful, when all you've worked for, all you've planted, all you've prayed over is gone, when it seems like the locusts are the decision makers, the ones in power, the ones calling the shots? Joel knows what the people are thinking. He knows the ache in their bellies and the questions in their throats, and still he speaks, because the prophet's job is not to describe what is. The prophet's job is to announce what can be. And Joel begins with a promise. He has given the early rain for your vindication, God says. He has poured down for you abundant rain, the early and the later rain as before. In other words, what's been stripped away will grow again. The soil will recover, the harvest will return, the rain will fall. God is not done yet. But Joel doesn't stop there. The restoration is not only agricultural, it's spiritual, it's communal, it's cosmic. I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, says the Lord. And that's where the story turns from survival to revolution. Because if there's one thing we know about the Spirit of God, it's that she refuses to stay in places we've tried to contain her. God says, your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. In other words, the Spirit's coming for everyone. Young, old, male, female, rich, poor, powerful, and forgotten. God's Spirit isn't just for priests and kings. It's for farmers and widows, for laborers, for the unemployed, for ones left out of every system and every sanctuary. That's what makes this passage dangerous and so good, because it breaks every wall we've tried to build around God. Then comes verse 32. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Everyone. Not some. Not the people who got it right. Not the ones who prayed the right prayer or voted the right way or fit the right category. Everyone. The radical thing about Joel's word isn't just the universality of salvation, it's the timing of it. The locusts haven't disappeared yet. The skies haven't fully cleared. The devastation is still visible. And yet God says, even now, even in the midst of the chaos, I am saving you. Even in the midst of the ruin, I am redeeming you. Even now, even everyone. That's the gospel Joel preaches, salvation in the middle of the mess. Now let's be honest, we know what locusts look like. The locusts in our world, they may not have wings these days in the same way, but they're real. We've seen them eat away at our communities: addiction, poverty, greed, racism, apathy. We've seen them in our politics, where outrage devours compassion. We've seen them in our churches, where judgment devours grace. We've seen them in our own hearts: fear, resentment, shame, nibbling at the edges of hope. Locusts come in many forms, but they all have one goal: to convince us that the famine is forever, to make us believe that God's not coming back for us this time. But Joel's message stands against the swarm. Don't you dare give up on the resurrection while the locusts are still flying. Peter quotes this very passage in Acts 2 at Pentecost. The disciples are still traumatized by Jesus' death. They're disoriented by resurrection. The Roman Empire is still the empire. It hasn't fallen. The locusts are still buzzing, and yet the Spirit falls on them, uninvited, uncontrollable, on everyone in the room. And suddenly The boundaries between languages and nations and classes collapse, and everyone hears the good news in their own tongue. And Peter looks around and says, this is that. This is what Joel was talking about. This is the rain after the drought. This is the Spirit on all flesh. And notice Peter doesn't say, this is what's happening after everything gets fixed. He says, this is happening now, right now, in the middle of it. And that's still true. God's Spirit hasn't stopped spilling over boundaries we've built. She still lands where we least expect her, on queer teenagers and disillusioned elders and single moms and migrant workers, on people who haven't darkened a church door in years. The Spirit is not waiting for us to become holy before she moves. She moves, and in her wake, holiness grows. Now, Joel says, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. The Hebrew word there for saved is malat. It means rescued, delivered, made free. So salvation here isn't about getting your name on some eternal guest list. It's about being freed from fear, from oppression, from the belief that devastation is the end of your story. Our faith doesn't water down salvation, it deepens it. It says salvation isn't for some far-off heaven, it's for here, right now. It's when hungry families find food. It's when lonely neighbors find community. It's when a trans kid hears you are beloved. It's when burnout volunteers feel the Spirit whisper, rest, I've got this. That's salvation. It's liberation, and it's for everyone. Joel's vision also includes some imagery that sounds frightening. Did you hear it? Blood, fire, columns of smoke, the sun turned to darkness. These aren't threats, they're birth pains. They mark the tearing down of what's unjust and the making way for something new, because God's justice always comes with mercy. The world's ending isn't the end. It's the clearing of the field so something new can grow. The locusts ate the crops, but they didn't eat the promise. They can't eat the promise. And that's the hope that keeps us going, that God's Spirit is bigger than destruction, that no matter who we are or what we've lost or how long we've wandered, salvation is still on the table. Everyone means everyone. So what do we do while the fields are still bare? We live as if the rain has already started falling. We become living signs of Joel's promise. When despair says it's too late, we answer, even now. When cynicism says, not them, we answer, everyone. When scarcity says there's not enough grace to go around, we answer, watch us share what we've got. We become prophets in our own way, dreamers and visionaries and truth tellers. We open our hands to the Spirit and let her do what she's always done, pour herself out until every dry place drinks deeply again. So yeah, the locusts have been here. Yes, we've lost more than we can name. Yes, the world feels like it's cracking open. But listen, the rain is coming. The Spirit is still being poured out, and the promise still stands. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Even the ones we'd rather not include, even the ones we've written off or who've written us off, even us, even now, even everyone. Thanks be to God.